If a buyer signs a contract, decides it's not the right property, unless it's in the cooling off, they can't get out. But what if the seller wants to not sell the property anymore? What is the case?
No, good question. So in other jurisdictions, for example, the UK, there's a concept called gazumping. So if the seller,
best name ever.
So if the seller found someone who was going to offer them more money whilst the contract was not settled, the seller could require the buyer who had already signed the contract to
Gazump?
hop off. Yep.
Oh, okay.
That'd be gazumped. The next buyer would come on and buy that property from the seller because the highest bid or the highest price gets the property. So just signing the contract doesn't lock you in.
Now, that's in the UK.
That's in the UK. Now in Queensland, that's not the case. So as soon as the seller signs the contract, they've locked themselves in on those terms, and a seller doesn't have the right to terminate. The only times a seller will have the right to terminate is if a buyer is not complying with the terms of their contract.
They default some way.
In some way. So, for example, if they had a finance date and they didn't tell the seller whether or not they've obtained finance by that date, a seller doesn't have to be strung along. A seller can pull out of the deal.
Yep.
If you get to settlement and the buyer doesn't come along with the money, again, the seller can pull out of the deal.
Okay, that's all we have time for today. Matt, thank you very much. You've been extremely helpful. Make sure you subscribe on the Facebook page and markets.com.au's group as well. You'll join to find some very useful information. SPG, the short punch and Greatorix law firm information will be there as well, should you so require it. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to talking soon.